talking to yourself, Layla Hassan?
Yeah, I was about to say that's like the only person it could be is Otto Berg, because that's like the only Abstergo big bad across games that's still alive, right?
Mr. Berg, you finally showed up.
That they've basically turned into like the main villain that's still pretty niche and doesn't feel very main villainy.
It was you.
He's been around in the games for a long time.
Before you could be assigned this mission.
Sigma 6 found it just fine after you tapped into our comm signal. We know it was you.
Correct. What you don't know is that I've been listening in for much longer. Ever since you found the Book of Herodotus from Templar research, I'm sure you stole.
He does look like a COD NPC, isn't he? Yeah, he's been in since at least Assassin's Creed 4, if not before that point. I know we see him in person for the first time, at least in Assassin's Creed 4, where he's like in the offices and stuff like that. So he's been in the games for a long time. But the character that they had as like the main villainy character of Abstergo for a long time was Warren Vidic, or whatever the heck his name was, the scientist from like the first game that was just like, Mr. Miles, Desmond, you've come to rescue your father and stuff like that, and we killed him in Assassin's Creed 3. And then I guess Assassin's Creed was like, I guess we need a new modern day villain. And they were leaning towards that being Juno for a while, and then they abandoned that plot line. So then one of the Abstergo kind of side characters, like side character storytelling wise, but like important character in that, like he's high up the Abstergo ladder, was introduced in at least 4, if not before that point. He might have been introduced before that point. And now he's like been in most of the games since, usually in just like one cutscene per game, and that's it. So he's like super forgettable. But I think Ubisoft imagines that he's like a super prominent figure in everyone's minds that plays Assassin's Creed, when he's really not. Also, hello Hikari, how's it going today?
Abstergo are murderers, and you're nothing but their killing machine.
A righteous claim. And what of the Sigma team I dispatched?
I'm so not used to seeing his face, because like,
You killed them.
Look,
again, so far and few between.
Abstergo database. I know about Alina. If you knew what the staff could do for her,
Don't say a word about her.
then forget it. I was trying to compromise.
No compromising. The artifact is coming with me.
But yeah, my brain doesn't really recognize his face, because the only game where you could actually like go up to him and really look at his face would have been like AC4, where in the offices there aren't really all that much in the way of cutscenes. It's just you get to wander around while people are talking. And it's so much more fun to like randomly run around the office while people are talking instead of like getting close up in their face.
You did to Deanna. You should have come after me.
You're always next on the list. I'll check you off today.
Ooh, evil villain stance. Enough of this. Is he gonna be the actual final boss?
Indeed.
But without like my normal gear, because it's modern day stuff. So I'll just come with like some sort of pre-built kit, if so.
Come. Hand over the staff.
Did he come in here completely on his own and without like a gun or anything?
If you want the staff, you're gonna have to take it from me.
Oh my god, it is a boss battle. He does not have a gun, he has a baton. Okay, Aiden Pierce. Okay, and there's no health bars. And of course I wouldn't have like my equipment. And he's just doing like generic guard attacks, so like, this has gotta be just like for show and not really an actual difficult boss. So like the actual difficult final boss is probably done now, I would imagine. I don't know how long I'm gonna have to do this for. Whoa. I wonder how much damage I need to take for me to die. Oh, well, that was easy.
Wanna know my favorite thing about the staff?
Wait, do we kill him? Is this the game that Otto Berg is removed from the series?
Immortality.
Petty to the end.
He's so dumb for coming here with one baton.
I don't care if you live or die. You just gotta get out of my way. Face it. Templar's lost.
Oh, well, so much for him being the modern day quote-unquote big bad. I guess that's where he dies. Because he was stupid and came in here against an assassin alone with a baton. Like, what an idiot. And he's supposed to be one of the Abstergo head honchos. I forgot the name of the group for a hot second there.
Atlantis has been compromised.
As he lives, but he's just crippled now. Which sounds so weird for, like, what I've always imagined this character as here. No, is he dead?
Okay, think, Layla.
Is there no blood on it?
Comms are broken. How do you get help?
She's still just left over here. We play together again? Am I gonna stab myself? Come back. Can I use a staff to resurrect her? I doubt it, but like...
Vic, I can't do this without you. I try to hide it, but I'm scared. I have no idea what I'm doing here. I'm alone.
If only these characters actually had proper time to, like, establish them as characters. And have this feel a little bit more emotional here. Like the multi-game relationship that was going on with Desmond and the crew.
Anything.
That also spent more time in the modern day to establish a plotline going on there. Like, straight up, I do not even remember who this other character is, past the person that was looking after Layla and the Animus. Who Layla kind of...
Can anyone hear me?
Big smackaroo with the staff and killed.
Trying to find a way to force communication.
So you got it by just taking hers?
Elena. It's me.
Layla? How? This is Victoria's channel. Where is she? What's been happening down there? Did you finish the trials?
Yes, we have the staff. I finished our trials, but...
That's incredible! An actual Isu artifact in assassin control. This changes everything.
I'm not in control, Elena, and nothing's changed.
What? There has been
also,
before.
Berg is the interloper. He's in the throne room with me. Look, I'll explain everything, but the Templars know what we're doing, and they're after us. I need you to get me out of here.
With you? Are you safe?
We fought. He passed out, but he's stable. Please don't make me check on him.
You didn't kill him.
No. He's still alive.
Sit tight, Layla. We're coming for you, but it might take time. What are you gonna do?
Until you get here, I'm going back into the Animus.
What? Why?
There are a lot of people to say goodbye to.
You're gonna hop into the Animus and leave yourself vulnerable while your enemy there is still alive and you left the staff unattended? Are you okay? Are you dumb? What even? I'm actually mad at how stupid the characters in this story are. Like, what the heck? Oh, I'm back here. But he can still drag himself over to the staff. The staff that can bestow immortality would presumably heal him. And then he'll come over and stab me. Don't tell- that can't be the end. Is that how it ends? Add-on quests. So that's the first DLC thing where Bob, like, optional stuff. What? I have a lot of characters to say goodbye to, and she goes back in here. Corfu quest? By the trials of her daily life, Cassandra decided to consider taking a much-needed rest away to recuperate. Maybe that's the quest that I was planning on doing at Hallowland. I don't see any other main objectives on the map. On the Grapevine. Is that the ending of it? And that leads into Assassin's Creed Valhalla, the next game? There's no way. There's no shot. Am I missing something here? I don't see any other main quests. Hold on. There's no way that's how the game ends. Hold on. I'm going to YouTube. I'm going to look up a long play of this DLC and see if I'm missing something. Like, is that actually how Odyssey ends? And then Valhalla, the next game, is going to pick up where that left off? Or something here? Like, what is going on here? Hold on. Let's see here. Assassin's Creed Odyssey Fate of Atlantis long play. Like, usually, even after our credits, there would be a DLC roll, a credits roll, even at the end of a DLC.
For a chance to perch, were you?
So I think I looked at this video as like a guide at one point.
Atlantis.
Yeah. Hold on. Fate of Atlantis. Skip to around here.
Talking to yourself, Layla Hassan?
Yeah, so then this happens. Mr. Big Bad Osterberg appears. Is this actually how it ends?
At least. Anyone hear me?
We've lost everyone's vitals, and this is Victoria's through art
Look, I'll explain everything.
Yeah, get me out of here.
time. What are you gonna do?
That's how it ends.
Get here,
That's how it ends.
I'm going back into the Animus.
What the hell?
There are a lot of people to say goodbye to.
What a stupid ending. Peak. What the hell was this? What? Why are the characters so dumb? That's how it ends. What the fuck? What? That. Wow. Okay. That. Wow. I don't even know what to say. So, I mean, I guess it's always tradition around here to start the next Assassin's Creed game on, like, January 1st of the new year. Where's the heck is Steam? Here it is. That's what I did with this game. I started January 1st of this year, and I plan on doing that for Valhalla as well. So I plan on, assuming I'm not available, assuming I'm not busy on January 1st, is I'll just start Assassin's Creed Valhalla on January 1st next year. Oh, it looks like that's a Wednesday. Interesting. So, and I've done just a little bit of playing to make sure that it, like, ran okay. So, I guess this game is going to resume from, like, the Atlantis chamber there with what's her name dead, Layla going a little bit crazy, and Otso Berg just crippled on the ground unless he crawled over and grabbed the staff and is healed. What do you bet this game leads with, at least in terms of the real life stuff, once it starts doing the modern day? What do you bet this game leads with? Layla comes out of the Animus, like, oh yeah, I wrapped up there, everything's all done, and then there's Otso Berg that's, like, standing, and he's holding the staff, and he's like, aha! You fool, you dropped your guard! And then he skedaddles out of there with the staff, and then the Templars Abstergo has the staff at that point. Also, holy crap, 160 gigabytes? I figured I would install this after I uninstalled this. How much room is on my drive right now? Not enough space. Yeah, I'll uninstall this game first before I install this one, because holy crap. So yeah. But yeah, the greatest end to a 300 plus part playthrough? Not quite. The only 300 plus part playthrough I've ever done was Fire Emblem 3 Houses, and that was across multiple playthroughs. This is the single longest, like, single playthrough I've done. Fire Emblem 3 Houses was 4 playthroughs that comprised 305 parts. It's not. This stream started with part 270, so this is either part, like, 271 right now, or 272, or I've only been shooting for an hour and 9 minutes, so we're probably at, like, 271 right now. Something like that. Long as until Valhalla. Oh god, I hope not. I think I learned my lesson with this game, where even though it's kind of fun to go around doing, like, a whole bunch of the side stuff on the way and getting all these check marks and getting EXP, I don't think I'm gonna do that in Valhalla. I'm only gonna do, like, the bare essentials / the things that are, like, super convenient. Because if I ever over-level anyway, it just raises all the other areas to be at minimum my level. Like, I'm level 71 in game right now, and you can see the levels of all these areas: 71, 71, 71, 71, 71. So it's like, what point is there in, like, getting all that much experience, as long as I have enough to be getting through, like, the main missions? So Valhalla seems really grindy. I hope not, because I'm going to make it a goal to have Valhalla not take as long as this game. But yeah, don't completionist modern AC game. Yeah, I hear it's not that bad with Mirage, from what I've heard, because Mirage is a little bit more of a return to form for, like, classic Assassin's Creed style. Guzma gifted a sub to Nightbot for some reason. Well, I mean, it is an account, but Nightbot's not ever gonna use it. Appreciate the gift sub to Nightbot there, Guzma. Valhalla is less dense pack compared to this game, so lots of traveling. Interesting. But hey, then I can travel from point A to point B while rambling about things without worrying about, like, other stuff occupying me along the way. Yeah, you can give the sub to any Valhalla username. Subs can be gifted to Twitch itself, even. Like, they're just usernames. They count as accounts on the platform. It's not like anyone else can take the username of Nightbot. So, yeah, there was that. Yeah, it's just another user. Not like it would ever use it here, is the case. Huh. Well, that took me about 150 hours. Holy crap. I mean, usually at the end of finishing something, I give, like, my full review of it. What do I even say about this at this point? Like, yes, peak. Oh my goodness. Should I try to give a full review as best I can? Like, I can try here. Let's put on, like, my DVD stream playlist or something like that, is what I'll do. Because I have some feelings about this game. Is definitely the case. Yeah, the graphics are really beautiful.
There you are.
Let's start out with the story. At least with this time period story. I thought that it was intriguing with, like, the whole family relationship and us trying to, like, save our brother that went over to the dark side. And if we chose the other playable character, apparently the roles are reversed, where it's like we're trying to save our sister that went over to the dark side and joined this cult. I think that the historical setting that it takes place in is pretty cool, and, like, some of the historical events, as always, when it comes to, like, Assassin's Creed games. There's 3 different plot lines in this game. There was the family storyline, which I thought was kind of cool, like, trying to save and redeem our sibling figure, and with a lot of endings resulting in you not. Let me adjust the music there a little bit. And us reuniting the family at the end of the day with the good ending, and it's like, alright, well, that's pretty alright, that's pretty wholesome. Probably doesn't need to take as long as it takes, because, like, the entire first half, if not more than first half, is just going and finding our mother, and then, like, figuring things out from there. I guess we met our adopted father before that point, and he pointed us in the right direction. But so much of this game is just, like, a wild goose chase that doesn't actually mean anything to the overall narrative, apart from, oh, you got a little bit closer to finding mother. Like, I get that there's, like, a whole vast world to explore, and usually I wouldn't mind, like, excuse to go do missions in, like, really cool, crazy places in a video game world, but with how massive this game world is, I don't know here. Historical events, the sinking of Atlantis. I'm talking main game first and foremost. I know that Assassin's Creed is never going to be, like, one-to-one with historic events, but it'll intertwine, like, its fictional plot with real events that occurred. Can I rate it out of 10? No, I feel like that would be disingenuous. I don't like giving things number ratings. I can rate it out of 10 when you give things a sense of scale. Like, define what 1 is and define what 10 is. Because if 10 is, like, perfect, then there hasn't been, like, a single video game that I've ever played that would meet that criteria. And, like, probably the best video game I would have ever played would be at most, like, a 7.5 or something like that. If 10 is, like, absolute perfection. But if we rate this within the context of other Assassin's Creed games, let's say that 10 is Black Flag, and let's say that 1 is friggin' Altair's Chronicles on the Nintendo DS, my least favorite Assassin's Creed game in this series, because it's just, like, so nonsensical and boring, and, like, what even the heck? Why is that even a game that exists? But I played it. So between Altair's Chronicles and Black Flag, I would probably give it, like, I don't know, maybe like a 7 or something like that, which is pretty good. Like, still could be a lot of room for improvement, but it's like, you know, that is pretty solid, is basically, like, what my frame of reference for that is. But yeah, I thought that the family storyline was kind of cute, even if it took a little bit long to kind of get to the point. The cult plot line, Assassin's Creed Rogue is 10 out of 10. I don't know if I'd rate that at 10 out of 10. It's a pretty fun game as well. It's pretty good, but I don't know if I'd say that. It definitely has a lot of issues there. the cult plot line is just go around killing cultists around the world, and it's like, oh, big reveal, it's this one character that you knew that was behind the cult, and it's like, okay. And then the Atlantis plot line is more Assassin's Creed lore-wise. I'm still talking main game here, since, like, Atlantis is in the main game as well. Although you don't actually go there in the main game. You go, like, in front of where it's sealed away. Where it's like, it contributes to the Assassin's Creed lore. It had some cool bosses and stuff based on, like, mythical creatures. That was kind of cool. And the whole thingamabob with the staff just made me, like, really intrigued. Where it's like, you complete that plot line, and then there's Cassandra in, like, the modern day that still has the staff because it made her immortal. And she's answering, like, a few questions, but not a lot. And then she passes the staff to Layla, and then she dies. And it's like, what? Cassandra's been alive all this time? What was she doing all this time? What's the explanation for this? And I thought that the DLC would explain that by the end. Like, maybe at the end of the DLC, we'd see how that came to be. Like, I know that it was mentioned, like, oh, you're yet to see civilizations that are yet to come, and you're gonna have to hold on to the staff for a lot longer. But it was never really explained why she needed to hold on to the staff and give it to Layla. Like, is that something that's going to be cleared up in the next game, Valhalla? Is that what's going on here now? Because, yeah, the ending of the main game Atlantis questline, and then the ending of, like, the DLC Atlantis questline just left more questions than answers. I'm very confused there. So, there were definitely parts that I liked about the story, but could have definitely been better, I feel like. The music, I feel like, is pretty standard Assassin's Creed stuff, where it's like, there's some main leitmotifs that are used throughout it that are really good, but apart from that, it's just, I'm not gonna be able to remember, like, a single theme from this game, apart from, like, the main title theme and, like, the main leitmotifs and stuff that are used. The music was just like, yep, this is generic music that fits for the circumstance, never anything, like, that super blew my socks off. I do like the main theme of this game, I think it's pretty good. You'll find out an AC endgame, I can't wait. The graphics are really beautiful, and I definitely didn't have the world bugging out as much as I think happened underwater sometimes in AC Origins, if I recall. This was over a year ago now, so I might not remember exactly. But did I have any complaints with the graphics? The graphics were actually, like, really, really good in this game. It's a very visually appealing game and very pretty world. I love the lighting. I love the underwater segments and the way that the light works there. It is very, very bootyful. I remember having some problems with, like, my old CPU with it running at a consistent frame rate, and even still, like, with my new CPU, I would still have, like, it not always running at 60 FPS. Like, it's running at 60 FPS now, luckily, but it, wasn't always going super great, so I feel like it could be a little bit better optimized, because it's not like my equipment that I'm working with here is exactly trash. But, like, the game looks pretty good. Just optimization could be a little smidge better here. And yep, I've beat all the Assassin's Creed games up until this point. Minecraft roleplay is an 11 out of 10? What's the Minecraft roleplay? I think Valhalla's gonna be the end of Layla, think so? Because I know that there was, like, the whole modern RPG trilogy, where it's, like, Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla were, like, level-based RPGs and stuff. I mean, I guess you could argue that Syndicate was as well, but, like, in the sense that you have EXP that goes up and you level up and, like, your stats go up, and here's all these stats that you can augment in different ways with different equipment, like, one of those kinds of RPGs. All of Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla are RPGs like that. And then the one after that, Mirage, is apparently a bit of a more return to form for Assassin's Creed. And then Shadows, that's coming out next year, I have no idea what that game even really is, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I saw that one brief gameplay clip of Yasuke that came out and the reveal trailer, but honestly, I don't really know what type of game that is. But I know that with the type of games that they are, that this is very much a trilogy of sorts, so I wouldn't be surprised if Layla was meant to be, like, finished off after Valhalla. Yeah, let's see here. But yeah, I wonder how long it took them to make this game. Probably a long, long time. Took a minimum 1 week. But yeah. And let's see here. Was it just 3 years for this game? Because that is, like, very fast for a game of this scope, I feel like. Okay, 3 years on Assassin's Creed sound soul draining. It might well be. Jeez, that's a lot of people working on this game. After Valhalla, it's gonna become a turn-based RPG. I can't wait. And I never made a funny moments video for Origins, and I doubt I will for this game. The time that I would normally put into making those is now just going into making, like, YouTube shorts. That gets, like, so much more attention than, like, my funny moments compilations ever did anyway. So I don't really make funny moments compilations anymore. I just, make a whole bunch of, like, shorts and slap them on YouTube there. Does the next Assassin's Creed video also have the Kick video? Yeah, we're gonna start live streaming on Kick. I don't know. We'll find out when I get there. And I play around with the skills. Like, there might be something similar. I would love to continue using my thing. I never used it once this stream. Oh, is it not gonna work? Wait, what's this? Is there more that I'm missing? From a distant land emerged a new conspiracy shrouded in blood, lies the shadow, the order of the ancients has risen to dominate the world. Oh, that's just the other thing with, like, the first DLC. Like, the optional content there. Jeez, that jump scared me.
I can't believe you've done this.
Because I wasn't expecting it so late there. But yeah, maybe here. Just start flashbanging pedos when you move to Kick. I don't know about that. So, yeah, that's how I felt about the graphics. Now, the gameplay. It works. I think I might like it more than Assassin's Creed Origins, because in Origins, when you're locked onto someone, you just kind of hold the shield button and you hold your shield in front of you, and then anytime an enemy attacks, it just bounces off. And I think the only time that the enemy can damage you is then if you're attacking. So, like, it would feel extremely safe in Origins, whereas this is like either dodge or do a parry, so it feels more timing based. Like, it's a very timing-based combat system, like, very reactionary. Not quite the counter-based system of things like Black Flag and earlier, and technically other games after that as well. I guess you could argue that the other Assassin's Creed games up until Syndicate were counter-based as well, in a sense. But still very reactionary. Here's the boss telegraphing their attack. It's orange to show that you can't parry it and you have to dodge it, or it's a white flash to show that you can parry it, and then you hit the parry button shortly after. And, like, it can be fun and satisfying, but, like, it will get very samey after a little while. And Thanksgiving already happened here. This is the land of Canada here. Unlike the, yeah, we celebrate Thursday. This is what we do. So it does get pretty samey after a while. I do really like the abilities. Something I really liked in Origins is it didn't feel like one of those games where it basically locks basic game mechanics behind the abilities like it feels like so many games do. Like, here's all these things that are pretty much a staple of the game that are just locked behind, like, skill trees or ability menus and stuff like that. This game and Origins very much did not feel like that. It really felt like, wow, this is, like, really cool bonus stuff. I mean, this could feel like a basic game mechanic thing, just, like, charging attacks. But all the other stuff here is just like, wow, that really does feel like an extra ability that I'm tacking on and not like a basic game mechanic that's been locked behind that. And some of them are like really cool and unique and fun to play around with. So I really, really like the abilities. This is probably my favorite one. And like such an obvious reference to the 300. Fantastic movie, by the way. Like, I guess the developers just couldn't help themselves with this one. And man, it was my favorite ability in the whole game. Like, Ubisoft ragdolls have to be like one of my favorite things in video games. They're just so nonsensical and silly. I love them so much, they make me laugh. So them playing into it with abilities like this, it puts a big smile on my face. So I really liked the abilities of this game, I will say. So that helped to spice up combat a little bit. But recently, now that I've been playing Final Fantasy 16, that's a game where it's like, the game is as simple or complex as you want it to be. Where it's like, yeah, you can treat it basically like a game like this, where it's just you dodge when the enemies attack or find a way to counter them, and then you hit them after you've made an opening. And if that's all you want to do, then that's all you can do. But as I've learned through playing that game, you can get into like some really, really insane combo combinations and really just make the game as challenging as you want it to be from a combo perspective, and like the difficulty of the things that you're pulling off against the foes, which is something really cool and something that I very much appreciate about those kinds of games more. Unlike this, where it's just like, yep, it's just continuing to dodge, attack, and use abilities at like proper times. There isn't really combos in this game per se that you can experiment around with. So the combat is basically always the same, outside of playing around with like new abilities that you unlock along the way. And then once you've unlocked like all the main ones here that you want, you don't really have much reason for some of the other ones, especially on like nightmare mode that I was playing on here. Like I never really felt the need for things like multi-shot because I would never be able to get kills like this. Like the preview shows the person getting kills, but on nightmare difficulty that I'm playing on, there's no shot this would kill. Especially when there's like the level scaling where everyone is now level 71 minimum because I'm level 71. There's no shot I could kill people with this. So some of the abilities just get invalidated on the higher difficulties, which I find kind of lame. But once you've got your go-to ones, you don't really need to play around with the other ones anymore. Like, look, I have 20 unspent ability points here that I just feel like no compelling need to spend because it's like I have the things I need. These other things aren't as great on the higher difficulties, and I have the things I want at this point. So combat has felt like pretty samey for a while because of that. I do like how Atlantis introduced some new abilities, some upgrades here. So there is still new abilities that you can continue to play around with in a sense, but it is still pretty samey, I will say. So it would be nice if there was like actual combos. I'm gonna turn this up just a little smidge here. It would be nice if there was like some actual combos and you could explore combat a little bit more in depth, because it's really just dodge, attack during openings, and try to use your abilities at strategic times. There's no real combo depth in this game, past switching between light attack and heavy attack for abilities that give you more damage by switching between the two types of attack. Like, that, unless there is like super crazy combos in this game and I was just too dumb to realize them. So the combat is generally like kind of fun in this game, but after you've played it for like maybe 10 hours, it's like you've basically got the whole experience, apart from just trying new abilities that you haven't tried yet. I do like the different weapon types to change things up a little bit, but it's still the same kind of thing of just, there isn't really combos, just dodge and counter and stuff like that. But yeah, does this game also have Mount Olympus? I assume so. No, like, I've probably been there, I probably forgot here. But yeah, let's see here. This game is probably a lot of bang for your buck in the case of time for money. That it for sure is. Like, when it comes to gameplay, that's something that this game definitely has a lot of. Like, I have 150 hours in this at this point, and there's still quite a lot of viewpoints I haven't gotten to. Like, I never explored this area. I apparently never got to this island. I only explored a little bit of this island. There's parts of the sea that I haven't mapped out here. I have not been to this whole section at all, apparently. So there's a lot in this game. And in terms of like quests and stuff around the world and doing all these question marks, if you want to actually go around and do all the location objectives, it's a lot. And for a while I thought, hey, let's just go and do the stuff that's on the way to my objective anyway, because it's satisfying to get EXP, get new abilities for me to play around with, and contribute to like map completion and stuff here. But then when you realize like the scale and just how pointless it is, in a sense, especially when there's enemy level scaling where it's like, again, I'm level 71, and now every enemy in the whole world is minimum level 71. So there's not really any point in getting to a level higher than you need to, apart from unlocking new abilities that you want to play around with, which again, you get up to a certain point, and then you just, what then is the case. Yeah, I'd say that in terms of the content, it's definitely worth full price. But I do definitely very much understand now why every single person that I've talked to who's played this game always told me, oh, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, yeah, it's a pretty fun game. I don't think I ever beat it, though. I swear, every person that's played this game that I've talked to said that, where it's like, it wasn't beaten, just because there's so much to do. So maybe I'm like one of the very rare people that actually played it all the way through to the end. Yeah, I've beaten it. I did the thing. So like, there's a lot to do in this game. I kind of wish that you could go through the main objectives a bit faster. There wasn't as much to do, like going around getting hints about where Mother is, stuff like that. That just drags it on. Or use the DLC as an example, in Elysium, where it's like, weaken Persephone's control in the 4 regions before you can finish off Elysium. Where it's like, you just have to kill people in all 4 of those areas of her guards until the bar goes all the way down that her control is weakened. and then you can do the next mission. There's so much bullshit like that that's just such padding that doesn't feel meaningful. It doesn't contribute anything meaningful to the plot. It just makes you go, ugh. Like, if you're, like, because it feels like a chore. And you can have more fillery missions if you handle them in, like, a more compelling way. So, using that example of weakening Persephone's control, you could have absolutely had the weakening of her control be, like, assassinate a particular general in each of those areas. Then it's like an actual mission for you to accomplish. Like, you try to infiltrate this fort, decide if you're going to be going in guns blazing or if you're going to try to stealth your way to the big bad and then assassinate them. And then it actually feels meaningful gameplay-wise, even if it's still not meaningful story-wise, because it's like you're actually undertaking a challenge to do that. But the whole weaken Persephone's control, bring this bar down until it hits 0 after you've cleared enough areas on the map and killed enough of her guards, it just feels so pointless, because I'm just sitting here grinding, getting this stupid bar down, and, yeah, it's just, I didn't really like the fillery stuff. And, admittedly, there was a lot of side stuff that I did here that I didn't need to, that I knew was completely optional, that I started doing because I didn't think this game was going to take me as long as it did. I thought it was going to be, like, Origins length, / maybe a little bit longer, and I was so wrong about that. But the things that the game requires you to do that are fillery just doesn't feel great, especially if you're someone like in my position that spent a lot of time during the main game already doing optional side stuff. So when you get to like the mandatory side stuff later, like it just is so draining. So I don't blame all the people that I've talked to that never beat this game. Like if I wasn't a content creator, I don't think I would have ever beaten this game, honestly. Like it's so bloated with just so much stuff. Like it's such a high price of admission in terms of the time investment if you want to actually beat it. Unless you're just like bum rushing objectives, and even then it's like super long. Like nowadays I feel like I would like to get into playing some more shorter games where it's like, hey, I can play it for like 20 to 30 hours and then it's through. Not putting in like 150 hours and then it's like, oh my god, I'm so glad that this is done. Like I prefer some more shorter things. But if you are trying to get a lot of bang for your buck in terms of like the content that a game gives you, then this is absolutely a great game for bang for your buck. So if someone is looking for like a vast open world game to like adventure around a beautiful world and fulfilling objectives and getting cool abilities and stuff like that along the way, yeah, I could highly recommend this game. But if you want to play through like really, really high quality experiences, I don't like that can be shorter, or be willing to do longer ones if it maintains like a high standard of quality throughout. I don't think I'd be able to recommend this game, because this game is like pretty good, but pretty good for like 150 hours is the case, which turns it into a bit of a slog at the end, I feel like. I definitely did have a lot of fun playing this game, but it goes on for so long. But yeah, wouldn't say Scarlet Violet needs level scaling, but like badge scaling, but you don't want to be so aggressive like this with the scaling there. But yeah, like $2 per $1, that's pretty cheap, not counting DLC and not doing stuff within the 30 other hours. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of other stuff there. Yeah, it feels kind of like One Piece filler. Pretty sure Valhalla is grindy because of the microtransactions like Animal Well or Cocoon. Are there microtransactions that give you an advantage? Because that's one of the complaints I have with this game gameplay-wise as well, is you can open the menu and go to a store at any point. And in a single-player game, there's shit like this. The small pack, Helix credits. Like, this is the actual content DLC, so of course I have that. Like, I don't mind DLC like this in video games, where it's like, yep, here's more content added on after the fact. And the DLC of this game does have, like, a lot of content, and it does have some pretty cool stuff. Like, these worlds, for example, in the last DLC were really cool. I think I definitely preferred the second DLC over the first DLC. But stuff like this in a, where is it here? It's like Tales of Arise DLC, but by hiding, like, the true value of things behind an in-game currency. There's a lot of games that will do this, where it's like you have to spend real-world money to, yeah, Minecraft Remix here, where you have to spend real-world money to get in-game currency that's specifically used in the shop, and then you use that to buy in-game items, as opposed to something like Tales of Arise, where you just buy the DLC on like the Steam store page itself, and then you own it. There is no in-game currency that you use. And this is definitely the worst of the two evils. And there's a couple reasons for that. One, like the incentives of paying more. Like, after already paying full price for this game, do you want to spend $133 to get like the best value? Because the game always starts you with some. That's one of the things here. So the whole getting bonus for like the best value incentivizing you to buy more. The fact that no matter which pack you buy, it'll never be the exact amount for a costume or whatever thing you redeem, which means you're always going to have some left over. So then it's like, oh, well then I may as well like buy another pack so that it gets me up to the point that I can buy another thing and use my leftover from last time. And then you're in another situation where you have some stuff left over, and then you may as well do that. And then 3 is like the starter amount. Games like this will typically start you with like some sort of starter amount of credits, so that you can potentially get some things like a single flag design for a ship. But if you want some of the better things, like some fancier figureheads, it's like, oh, I can almost get it, but I'm just short. Maybe I should spend in the in-game shop to be able to get the thing that I want. Or things like the gear here. It's like, man, that's cool, but I don't have enough points to get it. If only I had like 550 more here. How much do I need to get that? I can't quite get the Zeus starter pack. I'm gonna have to do this. Oh, and things like starter packs in games like this, where it's like, here's some better deal for like your first purchase to try to ease you into the comfort of making a purchase a little bit easier. So that after you've done it the first time, because it was just such a good value on that starter pack. Like, look how much bang for your buck you get. I pay $7 and get 500 credits plus these weapons. That's a good deal. I can't pass that up. Then it feels like less of a big step to be doing these ones. Like, it's very interesting, this field, honestly, in that massive game studios have actually started hiring psychologists and they've been doing this for many years now, to try to better understand how to get people to spend as much money as possible. And it's scary. So systems like this, I find absolutely revolting. And the fact that this is in a single-player video game is disgusting. It's like, oh, well, here you can get like actual in-game currency. Oh, you're running short on materials and don't want to grind? Oh, why don't you just spend 2,000 Helix credits? This gives you the best value. It gives you the most materials. How much is 2,000 Helix credits? I'm gonna have to spend at least $27 for that to get this batch of materials. Oh, you want the grind to take less time? How about we just give you like a permanent boost to your XP and funds? And if you want all of them, that is going to be, it looks like 3,500 Helix credits. So 3,500, I'm gonna have to be spending at least $47 for that, is what it looks like here. $47 on top of the already full price game if I want the grind to go by much faster to boost each of these things by 2 times, because 50% plus 50% of each kind. You want to know what everything is on the map and you feel too lazy to Google it? Just spend money. It's the best value to know where all the things are in one pack. Isn't that crazy? Like, it's just so gross. And the fact that this is in a single player game here is kind of grody. What happens if I click this? Does it open a browser? I'm just curious. Oh, here it is, advertising Assassin's Creed Shadows. There was actually an update for this game earlier today. I had to install an update before I could start streaming this game. I wonder if it's because they were updating, like putting in like a new ad for AC Shadows or something like that, because I don't know what else they'd be patching into this game at this point. So yeah, I despise the M word when it comes to gaming, microtransactions, and shoehorning it into a single player game is like, yikes. Again, I don't mind like content DLC and season passes and stuff like that. And there was a lot of bang for your buck in the season pass of this game. But things like microtransactions for weapons and costumes and stuff like that, gross. Very, very grody. I only find shorter games are more like games that have an ending and also just don't focus much on the boring side of content preferable. Yeah, I agree there. If you want to customize it in a single player game, you need to pay money. Yep, that sucks there. I really like it when games have all sorts of like really cool, spicy, unlockable costumes and weapons. Like, one of my favorite games for unlockable costumes was the first Hyrule Warriors game, where I was unlocking, like, really cool different recolors of the characters that I was playing, and I was assigning, like, my favorite ones onto all my characters, and being like, wow, that's really cool that I have this color on there, like, especially with the DLC of that game adding more. I really like stuff like that. Or, what are some other games that have, like, really cool customizable things? I don't know, some of the costumes in, like, Xenoblade Chronicles 1 or X probably have some pretty cool ones that you can just, like, find around the world. I just love really cool cosmetic stuff that you can find by exploring around. You know, once you use to get psychologists to tell you how to make systems more fun for players in a good way. Yeah, why can't we get that? But yeah, at least it's not advertising like Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet, constantly advertising it whenever you open the menu. You could argue that it sort of does, because if I have the menu open, there's the buttons at the top left and the top right. So the top left is go left for main menu, where you can like save and do different stuff here. And the top right is for store, so you can quickly access it at any time. Like, at least it's not super in your face, but it is there anytime you open the menu, so that you know it's an option. But yeah, it's not like anytime you pause, there's gonna be like, ooh, out now, DLC, and stuff. But yeah, I love fashion souls. Of course, they're not fully cosmetic, but armor isn't worth that much, that's fair. I do wish that there was fashion armor in the Souls games, where it's like you had slots for like your stat armor and slots for your fashion armor. That was something I really like in games like Xenoblade Chronicles X, for example, where you can put on the thing with the best stats, and you can actually wear whatever it is you want to wear to be styling and stuff. Yeah, I think that's a little bit more annoying in Pokemon as well, where anytime you open the menu, which you have to do a lot, it's there. Right in the bottom right. It is a little bit more prominent. But the monetization of this game is definitely far worse. It's just less advertising for it, is the case. No, there's definitely more major complaints about this game, like the bloat and like the stuff that takes way too long. The music being kind of okay-ish, but not super great. And the story feeling like, what the heck is going on at some points here. So I definitely had a fair share of complaints up until this point. And I wouldn't say that I have like any preference between open world and linear. They both have their ups and downs. I don't think that one is inherently better than the other. Like, advantages and disadvantages to both. So that's kind of how I felt about the main game here. With the DLC, I do like how there was free DLC. Again, like, this game might be monetized up the yin-yang with other stuff in, like, the store there, but there is a lot of bang for your buck, both in the main game, and there was also free DLCs that were added as well. So, the main season pass content that I played of Legacy of the First Blade and The Fate of Atlantis, like those being the two main DLCs, there's more DLC than that that's free. It's just that those were like the paid ones. So there was the whole Lost Tales of Greece. That was like a whole series of subquests that were added. Where the heck is it here? Yeah, there's still one that I haven't done. I guess I can do that in a hot second here. And all these Lost Tales of Greece quests were added for free after the fact, when there's already so much content in this game, but they were just like, yeah, let's just add like more content for free. Why not? So there is like pretty substantial free content added as well. I don't remember a whole lot about the Lost Tales of Greece, so I don't think that they were like super crazy. Like, I thought that they were pretty alright, and some of them used some characters from the main game, which was kind of neat, but I didn't really remember much of them at that point. But there was that, and there's the DLC that came out like over 2 years after the game came out, the one that I plan on playing at Hallowland. Is it this? I don't actually know. Whoa, let's see here. Assassin's Creed Odyssey. How to start, or maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe I should just Google if this is the one. A Great Escape? Is that the quest? A Great Escape. Is that the one I'm doing at Hallowland? Great Escape. The first quest in the Those Who Are Treasured DLC. Okay, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. So they added all these, free DLCs in the Lost Tales of Greece, which is kind of cool to add, like, free content. Like, I'm not gonna complain about that. And a few years after Odyssey came out, they added free DLC again with this, after Valhalla had already been out for a while. So even after Assassin's Creed Valhalla came out, there was another short free DLC that came out for Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And I mean, if I wanted to play them in, like, the actual release order, I could start playing Valhalla and then come back to Odyssey and play this little thing. But I feel like that's just gonna like confuse me between the two games and like my inputs and stuff like that. So I'll just do this at Halloween and like finish Odyssey. So that's really cool that there's that. That they continue to add. So yeah, lots and lots of content in this game. And if it wasn't enough already, they continue to add content for free, which is like, wow, jeez. You are getting a lot of bang for your buck in this game. Like, I very much recognize that, and that is pretty cool. And they just kept adding to it. So, that's pretty neato there. Let's talk a little bit about the DLCs, like the big ones. So, Legacy of the First Blade, I did that in one fell swoop at Fragapalooza, so I did it, like, pretty quickly. It wasn't as spread out as something like this, and I was probably a little bit tired, so I might not have been able to 100% focus. I remember thinking that it was alright. The whole relationship with the Dudo, I forget his name, but the character that Cassandra had a kid with. How do I describe it? Maybe not forced per se. It's like, okay, you can tell that there's like some chemistry going on here. But it was very much like, oh, well, that escalated fast and they have a kid now. And this is not like... not a dream or something like that, like I thought it was at first, where it's like, oh, they're just living like a family life and they have a kid now, but then of course a thing happens that like pulls her back into this world and sends off granddad with the kiddo to go be raised away from all the danger and stuff like that. And it feels very much just like a fan servicey kind of DLC for longtime fans of Assassin's Creed, to show that this kid is like an ancestor of like various assassins that you've seen throughout the Assassin's Creed series with that ending cutscene. Just to, I feel like it's just a DLC to make fans point to the screen and go like, whoa, at that with the connections. Or to look at the hidden blade that what's-his-face, I don't even remember his name, uses. Being like, whoa, it's the hidden blade, it's the first blade, because the name of the DLC is Legacy of the First Blade, and I don't think that it ever delved into how that first blade came to be. I don't know if it ever explained that. So it's like, hey, here's some cool fan servicey things, but it doesn't really contribute much. I have no idea what the villain's motivation in that was anymore. Like, I just found it so dang forgettable. And there's like a whole new like mini cult thingamabob that you can take down, which I suppose I could Google and see if it gives like any meaningful reward, because you could say that like there is still more content in DLC 1 that I could go back and do and pad this out to 300 parts, but I would rather not, honestly, unless there's something really important here. And it wasn't a super long thing, and it didn't seem to have like any connection to like the modern day story and progressing that. So the Fate of Atlantis feels like the one that did continue the story of the main game where it left off with the whole Atlantis thingamabob. But man, did I find the Fate of Atlantis confusing, honestly. What with the one Isu hologram, her name started with an A. I don't remember what it was at this point. And being like, oh, that staff that you got from your biological dad in front of Atlantis, yeah, I can teach you more about that and your role with it. Just do these trials that I have for you to do. And then Cassandra goes to Elysium first and foremost, and then there's all the stuff with Persephone. And then we're down to the underworld, and we do the stuff with Hades, and then we go to Atlantis. And we were told that we were going to be learning about our staff as we went through these different worlds. But Persephone kind of hated our guts and had no interest in teaching us about the staff. Hades had no interest in teaching us about the staff, even though he kind of said that he would, and more so wanted to enlist our permanent services against our will. And then Poseidon was just like, hey, can you just like take over here for me? And I mean, maybe there was nothing being taught about the staff because it was what's-her-face's memories and she wouldn't have had the staff then, presumably. But going through world after world, it very much felt like, okay, then what was the point of being at that last place if I didn't progress the learning about the staff main objective that I had this whole time? And it felt very odd. Like, it was kind of cool exploring the different worlds and like the very different aesthetics of all of them. I thought that they were very visually appealing. I thought that they were very beautiful. But story-wise, in terms of going there, it felt very pointless, honestly. And I guess at the end there, like, maybe I'll have to rewatch that cutscene at some point. She's like, oh, you learned all about how these guys were, like, failed rulers in their own ways and stuff like that. And I guess that kind of helped her learn about the staff or something, maybe? I don't know. I really have no idea. With the stuff with Atlantis there, especially at the end, where it's just like, oh man, these human experiments went on here against my knowledge. Let's go ahead and just destroy all of Atlantis so that it doesn't happen again. It's like, what is this logic? I cannot get over how stupid that is. Like, what kind of backwards reasoning? And the inclusion of Juno and Aita there, where it's like, hey, here's characters that'll be recognizable for longtime Assassin's Creed fans, but after they abandoned the whole Juno plotline in the modern day, it's like, what's the point? Like, if they were still doing the Juno plotline in the modern day of Assassin's Creed, then I would be paying more attention when Juno showed up. I'd be like, whoa, are we gonna learn a little bit more about, like, her motivations and what led her to this path? Like, is this going to further along the knowledge that we knew of her before to help me better understand the Juno of the now? But there is no Juno of the now anymore. She was abandoned in the video games and assassinated in the laziest way possible in some graphic novels. So what reason do I have to care anymore? So I assume that Juno was there as like a fan servicey kind of, whoa, it's the character I recognize. But considering what they did with the character, how they literally and figuratively assassinated the character, who cares? Because I sure don't. So yeah, there was that. And then the stuff going on with Layla. Like, I don't understand what's going on with Layla. Is it stuff that's going to be elaborated on in Assassin's Creed Valhalla? I assume so, because it seems like the staff is corrupting her. That never seemed to be the case for any of our heroes previously in the Assassin's Creed games, but maybe it's a interesting new take. Could the Piece of Eden ever corrupt people before? Like, it might have been mentioned in previous games where it's just like, oh man, with this crazy amount of power they have, it can potentially corrupt people. Or something like that. I don't remember if that was mentioned, but I don't think we've actually seen it in any games before. So Layla got all, like, bossy and is just like, hey, if you're not gonna be doing what I'm telling you should be doing, I'm gonna give you a big smackaroo and oh no, now you're dead. To her doctor character that I had, like, no attachment to. Because unlike the older Assassin's Creed games, there's not enough time spent in... Whoops. I hit my leg with the bumper there. There's not enough time spent in the modern day to actually make the characters that I care about. Like, I would honestly be fine with the Assassin's Creed games abandoning the modern day stuff completely at this point. But if you're gonna do it, at least make me care. Yeah, she killed her at one point. She gave her like a big bonk on the head with a staff, I think. I don't remember. This was a little while back. And she killed her. She killed the doctor that was looking after her. And then she was immediately regretful, like, oh no, I didn't mean to do it. I didn't mean for it to come to this. Anyway, let's go back into my video game of being an ancient Greece assassin. And that's what happened. So yeah, that was the doctor that she was acting sad about that she killed. And then the Isu character that was like the hologram there was like, Layla, nope, you're not the one. This is corrupting you. This is too bad of an influence. This is not good. You can't be using this staff. And she was just like, you don't know enough about me. Nuh-uh. And kept on using it and going to the Animus and doing stuff. And then there was Otso Berg appearing at the very end there as like one of the main modern day big bads. I think he's actually been present since at least like AC3. He might have been around like right towards the end of the Desmond saga. I don't remember. He's been around for a little while, and usually appears during like some big battle at the end. Like, I'm pretty sure that was the case with Assassin's Creed Syndicate as well, where you see Sean and Rebecca having like a super epic showdown with Otso Berg that you watch through like some random spy camera that is like super forgettable, honestly. Apart from the music that plays during that cutscene. The theme Underground from Assassin's Creed Syndicate is actually really good. But it's just, he's a guy that shows up for final battles and is apparently like some head honcho of Abstergo that you read about in like various modern day lore entries about how he's like leading teams that are going after assassins and stuff like that. At least as far as I know from me going through all these games in order and not going like super in depth trying to figure everything out like a FNAF theorist or something like that. Like, there's probably is something bigger going on with Otzoberg, but that's what I understand him as. Is he's some head honcho that leads Abstergo goons and, like, goes after assassins and is, like, one of the biggest threats to the modern-day assassins, is, like, a figurehead to take down, essentially, and has been present in the endings of, like, several Assassin's Creed games before. And, I'm gonna mute the game here, because I think there might be some slight music playing that's interfering with, this music. If I can pull up the volume mixer, that would actually be great. Unfortunately, I can only do that on my main monitor here. So do that, and then temporarily mute this, please. There we go. So him showing up at the end here, honestly, isn't too surprising. Whereas, like, okay, well, he's the, big bad that doesn't feel that big and bad, but is, like, the biggest and baddest one that they can use in the modern day right now, considering what they did with Juno, so they can't use her anymore. And, like, it was just so underwhelming. If he's supposed to be, like, such a threatening figure that is, like, responsible for killing so many of the modern day assassins, and he just shows up there alone with one baton, it's like, and then he gets poked with the spear a few times and then he's down. Wow, that sure was cool. Like, he's definitely nowhere near as built up of a villain as Juno was before she was abandoned. But he has been in the games for at least well over a decade now, and that's what happens to him. He's the leader of, like, some super crazy Abstergo strike team that's a super big threat to the assassins. And this assassin that has something that would be really important for Abstergo to get, this whole staff that grants immortality, he just shows up alone with one baton against an assassin. Like, I can't get over that, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I really can't. Like, what was the writing department smoking? Like, genuinely, I am so confused. So then Layla stabs him and he's like, my legs, and then Layla is like, oh man, I wish you were here, to the person that she killed, and then takes her comm and is like, hey, can you get me out of here? It's just me on my own, plus Otzoberg now. I hit the bumper with my legs again. And then her friendo is like, oh, am I hovering a little bit? I'll get you out from there pretty soon. And then Leia's like, well, I'm not ready yet. I gotta go back into the Animus because I gotta say goodbye to some people first. So I guess that's the gameplay reason why you can still be in the world here and keep on playing the video game instead of, like, being extracted and then, no more modern day. I mean, is it possible to exit to the, exit Animus here? It sure doesn't look like. It doesn't seem like one of those Assassin's Creed games. So, I mean, you could have just had her be extracted. That ends the game, like, credits roll. And then you just show up here gameplay-wise and never go to, like, the modern day ever again. I guess. Is there anyone that would genuinely be upset by that? But yeah, the reason you couldn't lose that fight wasn't because the staff makes you immortal, but that he's fighting you with a baton. Yeah, he showed up in his Aiden Pierce cosplay, is what happened. And he just really wanted to use those baton skills and just really failed and paid the price for it. And then it's so dumb, where it's like, he's still alive on the ground, seemingly out for the count, but who knows if he's supposed to be, like, some super strong bad guy dudo. And she just leaves the staff unattended on the side of the room, and then she goes to, like, the other side of the room and enters back into the Animus. Like, oh my god, how dumb is she? So I will not be surprised if the beginning of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, in terms of modern day, leads with her coming out of the Animus, and then being like, oh, well, time to be extracted. And then Otzoberg has the staff that would have, like, healed his legs, and he's like, aha! You let your guard down, I have the thing now. And then he leaves with the staff, and then, like, is the plot of Valhalla gonna be about, like, getting the staff back or something like that? What is the modern day plot of Assassin's Creed Valhalla gonna be? I guess I'll find out when I play it next year. But yeah, hello Cernal, how's it going? Fight just spooled this back up last night too. Were you one of the people that I talked to that told me that you had played the game but never actually beat it though, because I swear everyone that I ever talked to about this game that had played it told me that they played it, they had fun with it, but never actually beat it. Because it's just so long and there's so much stuff. I just beat it. I just beat the final DLC, and I am just confused and perplexed and like, what the heck? Beat it but not DLC. Okay, gotcha. The DLC is extremely confusing in my opinion here. Octopath is your AC Odyssey for a super long game there. Yeah, those are unrelated commands from a very long time ago. You do realize with ones like that, you're going to increase the counter as well. Except you really like Octopath, that's fair. So I do quite like the content in both the main game and the DLC. Like, it does give you a lot of bang for your buck, especially if you do really like this kind of game. It does get very samey after a while. I do like how the second DLC included, like, some new versions of abilities to keep it a little bit different, but it still felt, like, pretty samey. The different areas to explore in the second DLC were pretty cool. Like, the first DLC, it felt exactly the same as the main game, because, yeah, exact same world being used. The second DLC was a lot more out there and vibrant and different. And that I thought was cool. Some of the bosses were kind of cool. Nightmare difficulty sucks. I always play games on the hardest difficulty on this channel, and in my opinion, games on the hardest difficulty should be, like, genuinely challenging and hard, but not like, oops, I made one mistake, guess I died hard, because that doesn't really feel all that fun, in my opinion. Like, you should be able to still recover from that. It's if you make, like, several mistakes back to back, that you should be knocked out, I feel like. Like, you still have to play, like, really well, and it's still a challenge. And sometimes this game would be like that. There's no invincibility frames in this game after getting hit. Like, there's invincibility frames when you dodge and all that. But after getting hit, there isn't... This isn't one of those games that gives you iframes after being hit. Like, a little bit of cooldown time before the next time you get hit. So if you get hit by one attack and there's multiple other guys that start going at you at the same time, yeah, you just die. You just immediately get shredded. It doesn't matter what your offense is at. You just die. And like with the last boss there that I was facing, for example, where it's like, yep, he's two-shotting me. And with him constantly getting my health so low and like my few opportunities to heal, those little poison puddles that were everywhere, just step into one of those when I barely notice them on the side of my screen. Yeah, I'm just dead. So I could get shredded a little bit too easily. The amount of damage that enemies could take with how much health they have in Nightmare mode, every single enemy is a damage sponge. There were very, very, very few enemies in this game that I could just normal assassinate. Like, I do kind of like how this game lets you build into, like, what kind of playstyle do you want? Do you want warrior to do, like, one-on-one combat, or not one-on-one combat, but, like, combat, like, directly with foes? Do you want a hunter build where you're very much like a bow and arrow based character and that's where your damage is? Or do you want to be an assassin type character where you try to not be spotted by the foes and get like big assassin damage? And the health that all the enemies have in Nightmare mode is so much that I could not assassinate all that many people in terms of regular assassination. I needed to unlock and max out the critical assassinate ability. And even then, I could only do that with, like, basic grunts. And even not basic grunts sometimes. Some of the heavier grunts would have, like, a shield and a big melee weapon that they would swing around like a blunt object thingamabob. Whatever that weapon is called. Sometimes they wouldn't be assassinated. Sometimes they'd be living with a little bit of health. Anyone that's a little bit tougher, like any captains of a camp, yeah, they're not getting assassinated. That's not happening. So it really feels like it just invalidates the assassin playstyle in Nightmare mode here. And I mean Hunter as well, because I'm doing so little damage with my bows. And when you look at abilities like the multi-shot thingamabob here, where it shows a little preview of 4 enemies dying at once due to the multi-shot, there's no shot that would ever happen in Nightmare mode here. Like, I don't know what difficulty mode that preview came from. Is that just what normal mode looks like, where you can just take out people, like, pretty easy peasy like that? But that would not be Nightmare mode, and then I would just alert that many people, and it's like, alright, well, what was the point of doing this then? So there's a lot of things that just, like, get invalidated by playing on the hardest difficulty, which kind of sucks. Yeah, I really like it when games' hardest difficulties change the way that you actually play the game in some ways. The example that I always quote is Last of Us Part 1 that I played on the channel here, where the hardest difficulty of that is called Grounded. And I remember Eagle that came into the stream who had played it before was like, you should not do Grounded on a first playthrough, like, it's brutal. And I was like, well, I always do the hardest difficulties around here, I'm just gonna do it anyway. And the differences with Grounded is the whole, you take a lot of damage and, like, you can absolutely get shredded. Your UI is not visible most of the time. Obviously, if you open a menu, your UI will be visible, and if you go to a screen where it's like you're switching weapons, then your UI will be visible. But the normal thing you have in the bottom right that shows your health bar and like your current equipped firearm, how much ammo is in it and how much ammo you have in reserves, that's just gone. So you kind of have to keep track of your health based off of how many hits you've received, the way your character is acting, like if they seem kind of injured, and if there's like red effects around the sides of your screen. Plus the game is also like very generous with its respawn points, that if you do die, it's like not a big deal. You just respawn and then you're not that far back. So it never feels all that punishing to die, even if you are getting shredded. So like it never felt like I was losing all that much because I made like one mistake. So I never felt like all that upset by dying in that game. But one of the things that really changed gameplay in a fascinating way that I wasn't expecting at first was the fact that it was hiding how much ammo was currently in my gun and how much I had in reserves. So it was realistic in the sense that you have to mentally keep track of it. And there would be some moments in the game where some guy is rushing me down. So I pull out my pistol, I try to shoot, and it just goes click, and I'm like, oh crap, I forgot to reload, and then he kills me. And then I respawn, and it's like, okay, reload the gun first. So, but that's a moment where it's not the game bullshitting me. That's very much like, oh yeah, that's on me. That's a mistake that I made, because I have to actually keep track of, did I reload this gun? So I start getting in the habit of, just to be safe, always hitting the reload button on my guns just to make sure that they were stocked up. And realistically, that's what you would have to do. And then I felt like more immersed in that sense. Normal Last of Us also has a mode called Listen Mode, where you can hold a button and you can see people through walls. Like, you can see zombies and bad guys through walls, and then you can plan out your routes accordingly. But that's disabled in Grounded Mode. So in Grounded Mode, like, I just had to, I would have to stay relatively silent at points, and I would turn up the volume on my headphones, and I would just listen really closely to try to figure out where people are, and, like, use some eagle-eye vision to try and figure out where they are. And again, if I make a mistake and I die, and the respawning points are pretty generous anyway, so it's like, I'll have learned. I'll use that as a learning experience, and now I know that there's a guy that's patrolling around that corner. So let's now avoid that corner and go this way and see if I can get a visual on him and figure out like where he's going on his patrol routes and if he's going to interfere with me again. And it was actually a really interesting gameplay experience. Again, I don't know what playing The Last of Us normally is like because I haven't, but the way that I played Grounded Mode was genuinely a lot of fun. I genuinely really enjoyed it. And I feel like it would have been had I played the original mode first, or like the normal kind of modes first, and then I played Grounded. I probably would have still had a lot of fun playing Grounded because of how vastly different it is from like the normal gameplay experience. And it's like a hard challenge in a new way. It's not just taking away your health and giving a bazillion health to the enemies like some games will lazily do. It literally changes the mechanics that are at my disposal and puts more things on my shoulders for me to keep track of. And I thought that was really cool. It was actually a really, really fun and unique gameplay experience that I really quite enjoyed. Like, by playing every game on this channel on the hardest difficulties where I can, that was one of my most fun experiences. Like, it was still, like, super hard. It was still a massive challenge. But because of how, like, fundamentally unique it was in its challenge, I found it really cool. This game, though, is just one of those games where it's just like, yeah, here's the lazy route of the enemies do more damage to you, and you do significantly less damage to the enemies. Enemies will shred you, and every enemy is a damage sponge. And it's like, yeah, it's harder, but it's not, like, meaningfully harder. It doesn't really change the way you play the game apart from just don't make mistakes or else you're gonna die. And I don't really find that to be like a very meaningful way to handle a hard difficulty, in my opinion, as someone that plays a bazillion hard difficulty modes on this channel. That's my personal opinion on the matter. Like, maybe there's some people that love Nightmare mode. If I wasn't a content creator, I probably would have tried a bit of Nightmare mode, and then maybe switch to like hard or something, depending on what it was like, or maybe even normal. But then I feel like I would shred enemies like so dang fast, and because by the end I started figuring out how to take enemies out like pretty fast, and they would still shred me, but yeah, there was that. And oh, one other thing that I can mention about the gameplay, the boat exploration, the fact that you have a ship, and it literally is like Assassin's Creed Black Flag, incorporating the ship mechanics of that game, plus some new quality of life additions, like the fact that after you're done boarding an enemy ship, you can just hop back onto your own ship from there, gameplay-wise, rather than go through a black loading screen. Here's the menu of what do you want to do with their ship. You select an option. It goes through like the little mini cutscene of that thing happening, and then here's another black loading screen, and now you're back on your ship immediately. Like, it's just like a forced sequence that puts you through to that. It feels a lot more organic in this game, where it's like you took down another ship, and then it's gonna start sinking, and you can hop back on your ship. Or you can stay on the enemy ship and like watch it sink, and be like all satisfied that you caused this, and then hop onto your ship. And it just feels a lot more satisfying to do that. It feels a lot more organic than loading screens, and now here you are back on your ship. I really like the feeling of hopping onto an enemy ship, killing all the Dudos there, and then hopping back onto my ship. That was really satisfying. So the fact that this game kind of incorporated the aspects and the insane amounts of content plus more of Assassin's Creed Origins, while also being a Black Flag-like game by having the whole ship combat here, just being what Skull and Bones should have been. It was really, really fun, and I feel like if I had played this game shortly after Black Flag came out, like if I had played Black Flag, which quickly became my favorite Assassin's Creed game of all time, and then I played this game, oh my god, I would have put like hundreds of hours into this game as a teenager, I have no doubt. Like, I would have gone ham on playing this game. I would have been so dang addicted. But yeah, Merciless and Persona 5 Persona 5 Royal doubles weaknesses damage and triples technical damage to enemies and yourself, so it works with P5's quicker pace and speeds it up a lot. It's really fun and fits the style of the game and makes you feel really cool. Yeah, it's interesting with Persona 5 in that Hard and Merciless are both the hardest difficulty of the game. I've heard that Hard is typically the hardest difficulty when it comes to random encounter battles, because you can't defeat them as fast when you're not getting like the bonuses of weaknesses, but that Merciless is the hardest difficulty in boss battles, because if a boss hits your weakness, then you're just dying, is the case. So it's like they're both hard in their own ways. I do kind of wish that Merciless didn't have the 1.2 EXP bonus that I believe it has, so that it's like, yeah, it's completely different, but it's also not a Guzman enabled followers only mode for this room for some reason. Skull and Bones mentioned, what the fuck is Singapore making us do? Disabled followers only mode. But yeah, Persona 5 is another good example of changing how it's played. It is interesting in that it's not necessarily always going to be the harder thing than the mode that's considered, at least in terms of the ranking in the game, to be easier than it. Because it's like the easiest difficulty here and then the hardest difficulty at the bottom. And there's Merciless, which implies that it's the hardest difficulty, which isn't always the case. But I do quite like how it does also decide to do something very different from the normal gameplay experience, change it in such a way that puts a lot more emphasis on weaknesses and technicals and stuff like that. Yeah, it can be a lot more punishing, but also a lot more rewarding at the same time. Because if you manage to successfully capitalize on those weaknesses, then now you've got a lot more reward out of it. Unless you just like one-shot the, unless you accidentally one-shot the enemy that you're trying to take out by... Rephrase. Unless you accidentally one-shot the enemy that you're trying to not take out, but instead come up to you to either join your party or give you money or whatever the heck. Because that's how you get other personas, and if you're going around one-shotting them, then that's not happening. Is the case. Yeah, I think I would rather disable... I don't even know how to enable. I'll disable that. I don't really like it when people have followers-only mode. Is the case. Like, if I see someone has a followers-only mode in their stream, I usually just leave. Is the case. All right, there it is, disabled. So I do like it when the game actually changes in some way with the hardest difficulty, as opposed to enemies are just damage sponges that take like forever to kill, and you just die after 1 to 2 quick mistakes. And this is the latter, so I'm not really a big fan of that. So overall, this game is pretty good. It has a lot of content. It gives you a lot of bang for your buck. I don't like the monetization in it. It's a bit convoluted at times. After you've played so much, it will get pretty samey. That's my main complaints there. But generally, I thought it was pretty fun. Yep, I can indeed, which is pretty neat there. I'll take the pretty good. It's your favorite AC, but only because you love Greek shit. That's fair enough there. Like, I do honestly think that is a pretty good game. I mean, as you literally just said there. I think that's pretty good. But after 150 hours in it, just being like, man, when does it end? And just getting like more and more of the same. I definitely felt pretty tired of it. You hated Valhalla? Well, we'll see what happens when I end up getting decently far in the game. And Guzma, I appreciate the gifted sub to Cernal there. 343 gift subs in the channel. What a crazy maniac there. Cernal, welcome on into Team Enharmonic. Enjoy another month of the emotes and the sub badge. How long is that now? What is this badge here? 45-month subscriber. Yeah, that's a whole lot of months there. That is a decent while. It sure seems like. But yeah, besides making you do less damage and take more damage, the price are tripled. Yeah, that's a whole lot. But yeah, I'm playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey, the Let's Play that never ends. I actually just beat it. I was just giving my review. I'm technically not done yet. There's still a little bit of other stuff. But in terms of, like, the ending of this game, I did it. I beat the final boss. And it, so I'm almost there. I'll be done this weekend. I wanted to beat the, have to do a second run now. Yeah, now I gotta do New Game Plus. Let's do it. New Game Plus, let's go for 2025. I still do have one of the free DLC quests of this Lost Tales of Greece. So I'll do that probably really quickly right now. That'll probably take me like 30 to 40 minutes. And then that's done. Oh, I can Google if these add anything meaningful story-wise. These optional side quests of the first DLC. I can Google that really quickly. And then this weekend at Hallowland, I plan on doing the final DLC, which is this. And apparently this DLC is only like 2 hours long. So it's perfect to do at an event like Hallowland, where my main game there is going to be Metroid Prime 3. That's going to be my dedicated playthrough start to finish. But I'm also going to do this DLC start to finish because it's short. And then it'll be really cool to finish off this 11-month-long playthrough at a cool LAN event like Hallowland. So I'll do, I think it's called Crossover Stories or Those Who Are Treasured. And it's also called A Great Escape, the first quest here or something like that. So there's still a little bit of content to do. But like, I'm mostly done, and I'm just kind of wrapping stuff up now, is the case. What is Freaky Up? How's it going, Carvia? I finally beat that game that has been taking me forever. I still have some stuff to do, but like, I've done the main stuff. I beat it. I beat the final boss, finally, of the last main DLC. But yeah, I don't think that's what it said there. Cocoon is a short game you could probably do in one stream. I don't think I've ever heard of Cocoon before. Yeah, just switch to the other protagonist here, the male character. Now, what game will you go to when you're bored and have no plans? Well, probably Persona 3 for a little bit until I'm done with that. Or Final Fantasy 16 is like a good go-to one. And that's one where stuff happens a lot more quickly because it's a linear game and I just go right mission to mission to mission. And I'll start Valhalla January 1st of next year, so I'm only, like, after I beat the final DLC at Hallowland, I'm really only going to be not playing an Assassin's Creed game on this channel for 5 weeks. Like, all of December and the last week of November. Because I plan on starting Valhalla January 1st, as is tradition of starting January 1st of the new Assassin's Creed game each year here. So, it's not like I'm not going to be playing Assassin's Creed here for a very long time. A month and a week. That's all I have away from this. Oh, man. I know that there have been spans longer than that, even in the middle of this playthrough, that I haven't played it, like when I was traveling, I'm pretty sure, but, or at least pretty close to that span, but, we shall see here. But yeah, sizable pog indeed. Like he made a video on it where he just rhymed. P3 is ending, so it's not going to be a random stream for long. Yeah, I'm a little bit over halfway through Final Fantasy 16, but that's not including DLC, so that'll still take me a little while. And I think that Final Fantasy 16 is going to become, like, my go-to, just hop into generally game. And I also still have a lot of Mario and Luigi Brothership to get through. Like, I'm only 2/5 through the game. I started playing it in the opening weekend, and I haven't actually touched it since. What do you mean Assassin's Creed Brotherhood Stream 1? I've played every single game up until this point. I did Brotherhood, like, years ago. Every single Assassin's Creed game, including every single spin-off outside of mobile app ones that came out before this game, I've already played. I have, what, like 1,000+ videos of Assassin's Creed on my channel? Let's see, how many do I do here? I'm not familiar with Animal Well. Dragon Ball Z Booze Fury, great game, by the way. That's what we're gonna have to play. Ooh, I'm at almost 1,000 Assassin's Creed videos on this channel. I'm not quite there right now. Currently, I'm at 969 videos. So, Odyssey here is not going to take me to 1,000. But once I start playing through Valhalla, this playthrough of all the Assassin's Creed games in order is going to go above 1,000 videos here very soon. Also, considering this is over a 270-part series, and this isn't even 1,000 videos, that means that out of every single Assassin's Creed game in order up until this point, Odyssey comprises over 1/4 of all the Assassin's Creed content I've done on this channel. How nutty is that? The fact that there's one game out of what, like close to 20 I've played at this point, is over 1/4 of the total content. Like, that is not okay. This game's too long, man. Well, next I finished the DLC that I just said I was gonna do of the Lost Tales of Greece, and then I'm going to sleep. This is the case. I don't think I'm ever gonna do a video on Assassin's Creed Odyssey. But yeah, what GPU and CPU do you play the game with, and what was your FPS? You should be able to find that. I think it's updated in the about thingamabob on the Twitch page. I think I have a stream specs shelf, it's called? Are they called shelves? Tabs? Whatever the hell the things are called in the Twitch stream description. It should be pretty up to date. And I was usually getting 60, but sometimes it would be dipping to around like 40, 45-ish, unfortunately, while I was streaming. But yeah. No, I'm doing this DLC at the LAN event. I'm doing this DLC right now because there's one left, is what I said. I say, is your favorite game you've played this year? Unicorn Overlord. No doubt about that. Unicorn Overlord was so good. So I'll do that here. Wait, I was gonna Google these first to just see if there's anything meaningful. What about 2023? I don't remember. Wait, I know this one. It's Partners in Time. Dang it. Yeah, definitely Unicorn Overlord, I would say here. Let's just see. So what was the name of this quest? Knives in the Dark. Let's just look it up on YouTube so I can just see if there's like any cutscenes associated with them. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Knives in the Dark. So these are the optional quests of the first major DLC, Legacy of the First Blade. Is this anything meaningful? Is the case? Second best game you've played this year, Zelda? God, no. I don't know. What kind of gameplay does Unicorn Overlord have? Real-time strategy is what it is. Gameplay? I can just mute this tab in general. Does something happen at the end? Let's see here. Is there something meaningful? Hold on. I just want to get a little bit of a hint on if something cool happens if I do these quests. Because if so, and there's something meaningful for it, then I guess I'll do it. Like something that contributes a little bit to the story or lore-wise. Play Pros the Moon King. I did not know that, actually. Mercenary discovered. Okay, well that's the end of that. Quest completed, Knives in the Dark. Okay, well, that... lame. So it's just going and killing these guys in a particular order, and then, great, you did it. Alright, I don't need to do that. Kill the mercenary sent by the Tempest. Alright, what about this one? Remnants of the Ancients. What is the... How do I leave this open to, like, check the rewards? It won't let me. I don't know. Remnants of the Ancients. Let's see here. Remnant of the Ancients. Is there something cool with that one? Remnants of the Ancients. Oh, it looks like there's some cutscenes to that one. Remnants of the Ancients Part 1. Amorgus. Oh yeah, that was the name of the one dude there. And then I was going after a bunch of guys here, or I would be. Return to the blacksmith at the Oikos of the Olympians. I spell adamantine. So this is just some. Does he use the same model as the guy that died to sharks when we went to the Olympics, except like with skin color change and facial hair and stuff like that? He looks very much like that. So you go help out a blacksmith, and then I guess you can get like unique weapons or something like that, is what I assume this is. YouTube.com Assassin's Creed series. Wait here, this won't take long. And then you get the Sword of Kings. So it's just a cool weapon. Or melee charging speed. Let's see here. What was it called? Sword of Kings? Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Sword of Kings? Hold on. I'm just curious. Plus 25% warrior damage, plus 10% all damage, 50% melee charging speed. What does that mean? Like, just like your charged heavy attack? I can't think of anything else you charge with melee. Your melee abilities? You'd think it would say abilities then. I don't know what this means. Exactly. Alright, so it's just to get like a cool weapon. A sword was originally in possession of Amorgus, the leader of the Order of Dominion branch of the Order of the Ancients. After breaking during the battle between Amorgus, the Spartan Mystios, Cassandra, and Darius, the sword was recovered by Cassandra and brought to an artisan blacksmith in Focus Greece. Okay, so it's the sword that the big bad used in the final battle, and it broke, and you can take it to this blacksmith after beating the DLC to get it repaired and use it yourself. Cool, I guess, but not cool enough to warrant me doing the quest. The city that cried wolf. Find and kill the huntsman's wolves. Cassandra learned that the huntsman's wolves were devouring people in Amphipolis at night. She knew it was the perfect opportunity to cripple his pack. Okay, let's see here. Does that one have anything important? City that cried wolf. Because I'll do anything that seems like important / story related. But, this is just a 10-minute thing. Let's see. So what the heck happens here? Is there even a cutscene? Is there no cutscene even? What the heck? So it's just some random thing I got from that board there? As I accepted all the things. I kind of forgot about that board, honestly. So it's literally just go and kill the wolves, and then it's like, bam, quest complete. Wait, what? This should send a warning to the huntsman. I wonder how he'll react to losing his pets. Okay, now I know what happens in that quest. It's the case. But yeah, I'll have to check that out later here. Yeah, I don't think any of those ones matter all that much, honestly. I genuinely don't think I see them being worth doing. If I was getting really, really extremely close to 300 parts, I'd probably do it just for the memes. But I don't want to do like another 20-some parts just to do this stuff plus more, because it would take longer than that. Plus there's other games I want to play. And I'm not usually the kind of person to pad things up to a certain point. So, yeah, I think I'm not doing any of that in that case. Let's see here. Let's go to the volume mixer and unmute the thing. Okay.